Hey y'all, welcome to the Q Spot Podcast with host Quavila Jones. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and take notes as we dive into each discussion. Stay tuned. With special guest Sandra L discussing her breast cancer journey. Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of the Q Spot Podcast video series, and my very special guest for this special segment of Awareness Matters, breast cancer awareness, is Miss Sandra L. Combs. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. What about yourself?
I'm doing great, and I just want to first say thank you for giving me your time and being willing to share your story. For the month of October, we know it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and research has shown that African American women face, well, how can I say, the disease affects them differently and more aggressively. I don't know if it's because of late testing or if it's something genetic. I personally haven't done enough reading to know the answers to all that. I'm sure doctors are still finding answers to that. So I want to definitely get into that, what your experience has been. And before we get into that, I want to first let everyone know that you are an associate professor in the school, the college, or
School of Media and Journalism
okay,
and Multimedia Journalism Program.
at Arkansas State University here in Jonesboro, Arkansas, or Redwoods. Go, what's up? I'm I'm happy to say I'm finally an alumni of Arkansas State University.
Graduation. I was at
Yeah.
your graduation.
Yes, it took me a long time, but you know what? And I almost didn't walk, but I'm like, and then it started icing up that day. I'm like, you know what, God, okay, whatever. But I made it. So here we are. All right. And so you have had your own journey. Everyone's journey is different. That's one thing also I would like you to let everyone know, that every single journey is different.
Right.
From diagnosis to treatment to life afterwards. And so let's start out with telling everyone how long you have been a survivor.
Well, I was diagnosed November 14th, 2008.
Okay.
Was 3 months to the day that I moved to Jonesboro.
Oh my
I
goodness.
didn't know anybody, didn't know any doctors, and I had surgery and it was discovered that I had a lump in my breast that was cancerous. They removed it. Thank God I had clear margins, but it was classified as stage 2B.
Okay. So for those, especially me, who don't know, can you explain maybe what that means as far as the stages and what that particular stage means?
That stage for me was a blessing.
Okay.
Anything higher puts you in a greater risk of more surgery and a more extensive treatment than I had. Since there was no cancer found in anywhere else besides that lump, it was good for me.
Okay.
After the lump was removed, I had 12 rounds of chemotherapy. I had 35 rounds of radiation. Um, and after that, I have been getting my annual mammograms and doing my self exams. And so far, 12 years later, I'm still good.
Awesome. And let's go back to the diagnosis part. You said you had just moved to Jonesboro. You were by yourself. Well, did you have any family or friend? Like, had you? Nobody. And so, what? Were
I,
you in the doctor's office?
have
I'm
you ever
sorry.
seen that movie? I want to say Streetcar Named Desire. I'm not sure. That the kindness of strangers. That's what I lived on. There
Okay.
were three significant groups in my recovery. First was my director of journalism, Dr. Joel Gamble.
Okay.
He actually took me for my surgery and It was incredible. Um,
Yeah.
I'd only met him 3 months earlier, and then our administrative assistant, um, Deanna Barden, was
Okay.
the one who, when I woke up, to my surprise, she was sitting next to my bed. And like I said, she'd only known me for 3 months. And then
Oh,
there's the Northeast Arkansas Breast Cancer Support Group. These ladies made it a point to get me to my chemo treatments and to my radiation treatments, and they got me food and stuff like that. So those three helped me through it.
wow.
I I hadn't made any real friends outside of work, and wasn't a member of any church or anything. So it was just me and the breast cancer support group and um, Dr. Gamble and Deanna Barden who got me through. Um,
Well, God bless those individuals who
yeah.
stepped up and selflessly gave of their time and themselves to be there for you. And so, were you in the when you first got your diagnosis? Were you in the doctor's office or were you at home?
No, no. That's one thing that really bothered me about the whole thing. Being new here, they actually called me on the telephone. I was at work. They called me on my cell phone, and they said, Miss Combs, it's cancer. You need to schedule chemotherapy and radiation.
So, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
In
that's
fact, I was on my way to I was in between classes. I was on my way to teach my class. And so I gathered up my books, and I was on the third floor, and I went on the second floor, and I went in Dr. Gamble's office, who had taken me for the surgery. I went in Dr. Gamble's office and I said, I just got a call. They said it's cancerous. I will teach my class, and then I'm going to go home. And he said, well, is there anything else I can do? Da 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 da. And I said, no, I'm gonna do my class, and then I'm gonna go home. And I did. So after class, I gathered up my stuff, and I happened to be living in what we call faculty housing
okay.
on campus, because like I said, I just got there. I was living in faculty housing, and I drove the 1 mile to my house from campus, got in the middle of my bed and cried for a while. So, and
Wow.
and unfortunately, I didn't want to. I have relatives in Florida and Georgia, and I didn't want to call them and say, hey, I just been diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm in my bed crying, and I didn't want to call where I'd been for 30 years outside Detroit. I'd lived in Michigan. I didn't want to call my friends up there and say, hey, because I wasn't trying to get anybody to come down and rescue me or whatever. Um, but as it happened, A State was really good to me. After then President Potts found out that I was being treated for breast cancer, he told me that his wife had was a breast cancer survivor,
Wow.
and he asked me if there was anything that I needed. This is the president of the university. I've only been an employee for 3 months. It was really
Wow.
wonderful. And I said, well, I need somebody to give me my shots, the new Leicester shot after chemo. And he said, okay. So he contacted Dean Susan Henrahan,
Okay.
nursing and health professionals. And she had um, faculty members who were registered nurses, probably above that grade too. But anyway, they came to my house after every chemotherapy session and gave me my shot.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. I don't know what I would have done without A State people and the NEA support group. Yeah. Uh,
Wow.
when the president of the university, has the nursing dean to send people to my house. I'm talking Saturday mornings. I would have my chemo on Fridays, and then they would come on Saturdays because you had to have the shot within 24, 48 hours. And they would come on Saturday, breaking up their day and um, give me my shot. Man, that shot was expensive too. They initially mailed it to me in an ice pack, and I had to put it in the refrigerator. But it was regular, shot dosage. As small as a you know regular shot. It's like
Okay.
$600.
Ooh.
Yeah, a shot. $600 a shot.
So did
So
your insurance cover that?
insurance covered it, thank God. I had the type of insurance that was a carryover from my job in Michigan, so I didn't have to, wait and be without insurance for a while, thank God. So
That's absolutely amazing.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow. And so walk us through, now you're going through these treatments. Were you faced with having any other surgeries as far as a single or double mastectomy or
No,
having a hysterectomy, any of those other things?
I had at that time I just had a lumpectomy. The
Okay.
lump was removed from my left breast. I was given the option of having it cut off or whatever, but I told the doctor who didn't know me and I didn't care that I couldn't have my breast cut off because I was a young woman and I might need to be felt up later. So it's like yeah, he laughed too, and I still laugh about that. I can't believe I said that, but yeah,
Look,
that's what
I would say
I.
the same thing.
Yeah, no, no, I need him for a little while longer, because I was in my early 50s when I got the diagnosis. Yeah, so I was 52 years old, going on 53. So I opted, and I'm glad I did because it was just in that one little spot.
Okay.
So
That
yeah,
is awesome. And I'm so grateful that you haven't had any more complications
no,
since then.
mm-mm.
Okay. And so going through the treatments, were there ever days you felt like, is this ever going to be over? Like, were you tired and pain? Like, for those of us who don't know, and we just think, okay, you just go through radiation, you go through chemo, you just, what was some of the days like?
Radiation was a breeze compared to chemo. I
Oh,
have small veins, so I had to have a port put in so that they could put the chemo in a port through a vein in my chest,
okay.
and I would go. I had chemo every 2 weeks, so I would go, and it would range from an hour to 4 hours, depending on what kind of chemo I was taking. The
Okay.
worst was the red devil, and it is truly red, and
Oh,
it is truly the devil. I lost all my hair, and that was the worst part of it. When I started taking chemo in early December, I think I had my first chemo before Christmas,
okay.
and since I wasn't going to go to Florida or to Michigan for Christmas, I went to a close friend's house in Birmingham, Alabama. Her sister came and picked me up and drove me down to Alabama to spend the holidays. We were She had made an appointment for me to get my hair cut because I was told that with the chemo that I was taking, about the second or third treatment, my hair would really start to fall out,
Okay.
and that probably wouldn't be a good um, time for me being by myself. So we made an appointment at one of her barbers in Birmingham, Alabama, to cut my hair. Well, after the first treatment, no, they tell you not to drive and that stuff. So they drove me around, and I'd had my hair cut a lot shorter than it is now
Okay.
several years ago. So me getting a haircut, I thought was no big deal, but um, so after Christmas, we decided to cut my hair. It was probably about shoulder length. It wasn't as long or thick as yours, but it was a decent length. I could do real nice styles with it or whatever. So we got a couple of mojitos and we were sitting in our kitchen, and she said, tomorrow 8:30 you've got that appointment with the barber. And I said, oh, okay. And then I start crying. The thought of me having my hair cut, and when I had it shorter before, I had a standing appointment every other week. Got my hair cut every other week, and it was really short. I mean, really short. Um, so I started crying, and I said, I can't do it. I cannot go to the barber, who I didn't know, but that didn't matter. I can't go to the barber and get my hair cut off. I just can't. So we sat in our kitchen, and they cut my hair, with regular scissors, and canceled the appointment with the barber. Um, I still got that bag of hair that they cut off. Uh, but that was probably one of the worst times of the the treatment when I got my hair cut. When I came back to Jonesboro, I went to my regular hairdresser, and by this time I had a wig, and I asked her to shave my head,
Okay.
and so she shaved my head so I wouldn't have to go through that, because after like the second treatment, I could just rub my head, and I'd have a whole bunch of hair in my hand, because it was coming out. And so I just had her shave my head.
Oh,
um so that was one of the worst times. And the other was when probably when I had to tell my closest relatives that I had breast cancer, and that they didn't need to come. Yeah, right.
because
um
everybody thought we coming.
I got it. I got this good. um but it was a real hard time. I had some friends who from the university, like I said, people at the university were really good. This couple would bring me packages, I mean, cases of water, bottled water, um, because I didn't need to drink tap water.
Okay.
So, and but it was after it was over, it was good.
Okay.
But it when you think about it, and I lost and never really regained the texture of my hair.
Okay.
Um, it's very thin compared to what it was before chemo. My eyebrows are a lot thinner.
Okay.
Um, I lost hair all over my body, including my eyelashes
Oh
and
wow.
the hair in my nose. And that's one reason why when you're undergoing chemo, and you don't need to be around people with infections or viruses or sneezing and coughing, because the filters in your nose, the hair in your nose is not there, and so everything can just
Go.
get
Okay.
you know. Um, so it was a scary time of trying to protect yourself and not be, too standoffish. But I remember kicking a student out of my class because she was coughing, and she said she didn't have a fever and all this stuff. But if your blood count is too low, you can't take chemo. And I was not going to risk.
I don't blame
I had a schedule. Every other Friday I'm taking chemo, and I wasn't going to risk having to miss and extend the chemo time when because some student who probably didn't have insurance at the time decided that she's going to come to class because I do have a strict attendance
you.
policy.
Okay.
Now, but I told her she had to go. She had to go because I could not risk it. You know, and then the other part about it was that first time I had chemo, I had to get Valium, which my primary care doctor was reluctant to give to me, but I had talked to some of the ladies in the support group, and they said, you need to take one the night before so you can sleep, which is very important. Especially when you're by yourself, and then you need to take one in the morning before you go. They give you a little bit. Of something you are when you are undergoing it, but um, it it helps when you got your own. Can we
Okay.
stop right now? I need to turn this thing off. It's
Yes,
beeping. I'm sorry.
no problem. Okay. So, wow. Like, I can't even imagine, like, I've had my own share of things happen, medically, but I can't imagine going through chemo, one, going through it alone, or feeling like you're alone, even though you have the support of your faculty work, your faculty colleagues, and the individuals from the support group, but it's still nothing like having your own core group of friends and family right there with you to go through the process with you. Um, During that time, did you journal or write down and just kind of take notes of what was happening and what was being said, and then question what you felt was didn't sound right?
I had a very good friend in outside Detroit, Michigan, who we'd been to church together for 20 years. Who had undergone breast cancer and treatment, and she also had a lumpectomy. And I was right there with her, during the time she was there. And so, for the most part, I would call her and get um, encouragement and suggestions of what I should do. For instance, and I tell this to all the women who I know who are going through, and men too. If I've only talked to like one man, but who about what to eat, about getting the Valium if you need it, Um, but I was told to eat oatmeal before I went to chemo, and I'd have oatmeal and maybe a couple eggs, and that would be it. Um, you hear a lot about people throwing up and that kind of thing. I never threw up. I didn't even lose weight. I was mad about that.
No,
Uh, usually you see people and you say, "Oh man, they're going through cancer. Look at them. They've lost their hair. They look sick. They lost their weight." Yeah, I didn't lose a pound.
no,
Um, because I did what my friends told me to do. I ate the oatmeal before I went for chemo. I would drink 12 to 16 ounces of a liquid every hour I was in chemo. At the chemo center, they had sodas, they had water, they had juice. So I'd
Okay.
alternate. Every half hour, every hour that I was there, I'd drink something, trying to flush this poison, which is that's what it
Okay.
is, flush this poison out of my system. So I did that, and I did not eat with silverware.
Oh.
I ate with plastic because the silverware has a funny taste. When you're taking chemo, the silverware tastes funny in your mouth, and therefore you don't feel like eating because
Okay.
everything tastes nasty. See, I didn't lose any weight, so apparently it didn't taste nasty.
Oh,
Uh,
oh goodness.
and I did my new Leicester shot, which also helped with the nausea and stuff. I There was only one time that I felt really sick afterwards, and they also told me after chemo, um, whether you want to or not, go and walk around and eat some lunch, which is what I did because my chemo was usually in the morning.
Okay.
So the person who took me to chemo would take me to lunch, usually at the mall, and then we'd walk around, window shopping, and then I'd come home, given a chance for the liquids, and I'd drink a lot at lunch, to go through me and the chemo. Well, one time, the person who took me could not take me to lunch, and I had food in the refrigerator, so I said, "Hey, no big deal." And so, what do? I lay around when I
Okay.
got home from chemo instead of walking around. I laid around, and then so I felt sick most of that day. Um, but after that, I didn't do that again, and I
Okay.
and I I fainted twice. Um, After the new Leicester shot because I took the shot. I didn't eat my oatmeal, didn't eat, um, and I waited too long to eat lunch. Uh, and so by the time when I stood up once, it was like, okay. But anyway, I learned that lesson. But the thing about it is that when you've got a support group and you've got even if they're strangers, people who will stand by you, people who have gone through it. It makes it a little easier.
That's that's wonderful. And it's wonderful that you allowed them to be there for you. Sometimes people go through things and they just shut everybody out. And that's not conducive to your healing. Um,
No.
when you shut everybody out and you try to go at it alone, no, that's not good.
Yeah, I only did that with my family. Both my parents are deceased, and so it's my brother and my sister. One lives in Philadelphia, one lives in Florida, and it was like, okay, they're both working. I'm okay. I've got these people who are helping me, and it's not like I had a construction job or something. So, I could take the elevator to my office. I could take the elevator to class. But so it was pretty easy that way. I do know people who, after chemo, they'd have to go and they'd feel bad for a week, and then in another week they felt good, and then it was time for chemo and all that stuff. But I didn't go through that. I ate my oatmeal, I took my Valium, and I drank a lot of water and juice and stuff like that. So trying to flush that
Okay.
out of my system.
And so after treatment, now you're having to get back to work, get back onto some kind of normal routine. Um, what was that like?
Well, I tried not to break. much of the routine, um, because like I said, if I did, I would definitely be by myself. I started going to the support group meetings. Um, I had been going to an exercise class on campus twice a week, and one day when I lost all my hair, I would put on a bandana to exercise in. I didn't exercise in my wigs. I would exercise with the bandana on. And one time I came to class, everybody in the class had on a bandana.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Oh, it was it, and we all took a picture together, and it's one that I cherish. You know, um, so I had support, with people, and and even though I went to exercise class, I wasn't making it burn and all that stuff, but I was also, moving around, trying to be active, during that time. So yeah, I had to keep up the little bit of routine that I'd already established, because
Okay.
otherwise I would have been in that house by myself, and that just would not have been good.
All right. So looking back over your diagnosis in your specific case, um, were the doctors able to give you any insight into how, I mean, or why you contracted
No,
breast cancer? No.
no. My mom didn't have breast cancer. My grandmother's, my father's family, my mother's family, no. Um, I had a aunt-in-law, so no blood relation, who had
Okay.
breast cancer. Um, I don't know any of my first cousins who have breast cancer. I have 30 some breast first cousins, but
Wow.
no, it wasn't hereditary, and but nevertheless, I have a niece and two nephews, and I asked them to make sure that they and their children get tested to see if they have the gene, because there is an aunt on their mother's side who has breast cancer, so
Oh,
they definitely need to test for the gene. But no, I I it just developed. Uh,
wow.
yeah,
So, what message would you send to every woman, young, old? As you know, there's a young lady named Kara. She's, in her she's 35, and she was diagnosed just right over 30, and so it's no longer an older, mature
right.
woman's disease. Any woman at any stage is susceptible. So, what message would you send to anyone, even men? We're not gonna leave the men out this time
Right.
either.
Right. And something you mentioned, and I'll get back to that. The latest statistics I saw, 40% of minorities, Black women, um, die from breast cancer. 40% more than white women, because of late detection and not proper treatment. Um, but my suggestion is to do the self breast exams and to get mammograms.
Okay.
Oh, there have been studies. Oh, you shouldn't get a mammogram before you're 50. You shouldn't been. I had fibroid tumors, um, and so I've been getting a mammogram since I was 40. I'll be 65 in December.
No, you're
So
not.
yeah, so I've been getting a mammogram, for 15 years, when I was diagnosed, um, mainly because of the fibroid tumors. But the thing about it is that it, the placement of my tumor, what I could not feel with the self exam, but I was
Okay.
getting a mammogram every year. So in 2007, went for my mammogram, everything's fine. Came here, got a mammogram, and there was a spot. So early detection is key.
Okay.
And I know people, oh my gosh, those mammograms hurt, da 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 da. Number one, most of the people complaining about how mammograms hurt have had babies. No, I've never had a baby, but I'm sure having a baby naturally hurt worse than a mammogram, and a mammogram is less than a minute. When you're in labor more than 2 minutes. Anyway, okay, don't start me with that. Okay, wait. Get a mammogram, do self exams. Don't tell me about how they hurt.
I've never had one, and I need to be whooped because I'm 43 and I haven't had one yet. Please
Do
don't
you
whoop
do
me,
self
please.
exams? Do you do
Huh?
self exams? Do you
Ma'am,
do self exams?
if you want to call it
No,
that.
no. So the answer is no. Don't even try, try to fake it. Yeah, no. As you need to go get a mammogram.
I do.
You need to go get a mammogram because and I'm the first to admit that me doing a self exam, the first time I did one, I was in college. You go through these health classes and they tell you all this stuff to do. Man, I went to the doctor and I had done my self exam and I told him that I had all these lumps and things and I thought I might have breast cancer. And he said, since I'm so busty, yeah, right. Um, he said, "Ma'am, you fill in your rib cage." That's just so.
What?
So you have to get familiar with your breast so that you will know when there is something unusual.
Okay.
For instance, last year I was doing a breast exam, and I felt something in my left breast.
Okay.
Where the cancer was. Man, I called that doctor. Um, my primary care doctor, because you have to call the primary care doctor first. Yeah. So I called my primary care doctor and she did an exam and she says, "Yeah, I feel something." I'm gonna go, "Oh God,
No.
no."
Not
Uh,
again.
so then I went in to get a mammogram, ultrasound mammogram, and it was calcium buildup from the surgery scar. But I
Oh,
felt it and I knew, and it made me at peace because I'd done that. No, and I was at peace the first time I did it when I was in college and felt my rib cage. But anyway, the more you do it, the better you are with what your body should feel like. And
okay.
I knew that those knots weren't right, and they weren't
Okay.
there all the time. So no, you need to get a mammogram, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. Don't call me about being on any show or anything until after you've had a mammogram.
Yes,
Mm,
ma'am. I
uh,
yes. Ma'am.
don't ask me
I,
about Juneteenth. Don't ask me about Happy New Year. Don't ask me about the election. Mm,
um,
okay.
I
Anyway,
want to contact my primary and work that out.
yes,
Um, and I
absolutely.
know I'm smiling. I'm not trying to laugh at all. It's not a laughing matter at all. It's just
No.
I know that there's a lot of things I haven't done, and because I have another condition that most women with breast cancer also are susceptible to getting, which is lymphedema. And so I've kind
Yeah,
of
I usually wear a sleeve, especially in the
okay,
summer, on my left arm because they took out 6 lymph nodes
under
uh, under my arm doing the surgery just to make sure that the cancer had not traveled to spread to my lymph nodes, and
okay,
as a result, the circulation is not as it should be. So when I fly or in heat, or if I'm doing some intensive exercise, not lately, but anyway, if I'm exercising, I will wear my sleeve.
okay.
Um, because I'm the only one who really notices it, but I can tell the difference between the way my hands go around my wrists when I need to put on my sleeve,
Compression. Okay.
on my compression sleeve. I, in fact, one summer after I had the surgery, and no one told me about it. In fact, I found out about it from Dr. Aldrich at
Okay.
Arkansas State, who died recently. But anyway, so I put on a bracelet and I put it on my left arm, and it was tight. So I took it off and I put it on my right, and it was slack. And so
Okay.
I did the thing like
Okay.
that, and I'm going, oh, that's a lot bigger. So when I came back to I was in Florida for the holidays or something. So when I came back to school, I contacted Dr. Aldrich, and he did some tests and told me some exercises to do, and I got my radiation doctor to order therapy. I actually went to therapy, and they told me, whatever to do, and they ordered a sleeve. At the time, they ordered a sleeve and a glove
Okay.
that I wore every day, and now I wear it when I notice a big difference. It's this my right is smaller than my left right now, but it's not enough for me to. I might put the sleeve on tomorrow, but
Okay. So now at this point, are you still attending the support groups or
oh
okay.
yeah. Um, yeah, I'm one of the unofficial officers
Okay.
of the support group, and yeah, no, it. I can call them now, and somebody will come to my rescue or whatever, and it's just great. And the thing about it is, in this support group, the women vary in number one their diagnosis, and number one the treatment that they went through. Had one sister who had a double mastectomy, and afterwards she took two aspirin. That's all she took. You know, uh, we've got one sister who had a double, and she's been taking chemo for once a month for the last 4 years now,
Wow.
because her cancer is so widespread.
Okay.
So the range, and so when we get together, we talk about what's going on in our lives, but if we have somebody new, we talk about our journey,
Okay.
because everyone is different.
Yes.
Somebody who opted to get both of their breasts removed and take two aspirins afterwards, no chemo, no radiation, you know, she has a different lifestyle or than I had, with my 12 rounds of chemo and 35 rounds of radiation. You know,
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, I just want to thank you so very much for sharing your story and your journey. And I hope that everyone that listens to this takes heed, myself included, to go get an exam,
yeah,
get a mammogram. And I know that for some women, they also have to get ultrasounds.
yeah,
Either I don't know if it's due to the density of their breasts or just if there's something that the mammogram detects that's still questionable, the ultrasound can help pick up more. So,
right.
ladies and
And
gentlemen,
and your insurance, you know, um, will pay for most of it. Is not they usually don't pay for the ultrasound,
okay,
but that's one of the reasons why Komen, Race for the Cure, and those funds are available. And if you're in this area and you cannot afford a mammogram, contact St. Bernard's
mhm,
Pink Warriors. They will make sure that you get it, or contact the Komen office, and they will make sure that you get a mammogram. It can happen. That's one of the reasons why they have the races when they raise money, um, to help pay for mammograms and get people to treatments and get them the treatment that they need, or the new Leicester shots after the treatment. But yeah, if everybody needs to get one, there's no, yeah, no, you need to, because early detection is the key.
Yes. So before my next birthday, which is in February, I will have had my don't please don't look at me like
Mhm. February, okay. Black History Month. Don't call me. Don't call me after your birthday. I'm not saying anything about Black History on your podcast. I'm not. No, don't ask me
oh
about
my
being
goodness.
born on the same day that Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus, or sharing a birthday with Lou Rawls and Richard Pryor. Don't ask. No, don't ask me.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember,
Okay.
but I'll be happy
Every time
to.
I see you now, I'm just gonna point to the. I'm just gonna do like this, and then
I'm
you'll
gonna
know
say
what I'm
yes.
talking about. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But I am going to schedule an exam very soon.
All right.
I just have to make sure that
It'll be February before you know it. We're almost through October.
I know.
You know, Christmas stuff is up. As soon as December 26th come, they're gonna put Valentine's Day stuff up.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like they rush it on through.
Yeah, I
um,
hate that. Yeah.
but I'm definitely going to make an appointment. So I will definitely let you know when I make that appointment.
Hey, if you
And
need
actually
a ride,
go.
let me know. I'll take you. If you want me to hold your hand, I'll take you.
All right. I appreciate it. And I really thank you so very much for giving us your time, giving me your time. And I hope that everyone takes heed, listens
Yeah,
to your story, and
yeah,
they again do their exams and get tested. And men men get breast cancer
yeah,
too. So
absolutely. One of my favorite when I was growing up was Richard Roundtree,
mhm.
and he's a breast cancer survivor.
Oh wow, Mr.
Yeah.
Chef himself.
Shaft, John Shaft, yeah,
Okay.
breast cancer survivor.
Oh wow. Alrighty.
Mhm.
Well, thank you again, Miss Sandra. And go out to keep okay, since we're in this new virtual age right now, what are your classes looking like?
Uh,
Um,
they're really good on one hand, whereas if a student has been exposed or think they've been exposed, um, to the virus, that they can tune into class via Zoom,
okay.
which is what we use at the university. And in our department, we give students the option of attending class via Zoom or in person. And that first week, I had probably 90% of my class face to face,
Okay.
because some people, granted, learn better face to face with that contact.
Hmm.
But now we're in week 8. This is the end of week 8, of a 16-week school year, and 90% are online.
Okay.
Because there's one guy, and I called him on it. I called, just like I called you on your exam. I called him. He tuned in, and I make them all turn their cameras on, because they really could turn the cameras off and be in
You do
another room.
anything.
So he turned his camera on, and he was like wrapping up in a blanket. And I said, "Kate, are you in bed?" And he said, "Oh, Miss Combs, I just woke up. I just woke up. It was 2 o'clock. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon." You know. So yeah, they zoom in from bed, from I don't know where. This one guy had to go to the post office, so he's carrying his phone, and Zoom, and walking to the post office is bouncing around. I'm going, Eric, what are you doing? Oh, I had to walk to the post office because I got a package. So that
That's
means you're not taking notes. You're not taking notes about what I'm saying. Okay. But
oh
no,
my
it's
goodness.
on one hand, it's good because they have that option. You know, if they are fearful, and I don't blame them. If they're fearful, then they don't have to come face to face. Um, but I do miss the face to face because I'm um, pick at the person in class. You know, try to make them talk and if they need extra help, I'll stay around. It's easier to do that face to face than
Mm.
um, on Zoom. But anyway, it
All right.
is what it is.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I hope that you have a great rest of the semester and the
Yeah.
kids fare well and they do well. So, alrighty. And so,
All right.
thank you, thank you, thank you for giving
Thank
us
you.
your time.
All
All right.
righty.
And thank you everyone for tuning in to the Q Spot podcast. This video will be available soon, so please watch, share, and follow the Q Spot on all my social media and podcast platforms. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for watching the Q Spot Podcast Video Edition. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow, like, share, and subscribe to all of my social media platforms and the major podcast platforms. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Mwah.